Okay, dual action right now. Again, okay, this is just recording on this side and on this side. This is InstaScam Live. I'm probably gonna turn off the InstaScam Live and continue to record. But I got my composter. So, with that said, let me move this over just a little bit because I can see that more in the other video. There we go. So, collecting my own water. I actually have two of them, but that one's kind of the busted one. That's alright. I'm probably gonna get a bigger system, but my composter came, and I didn't bring out the instructions because the instructions are kind of like, you know, self-explanatory. But I'm gonna have to go and get those screws because I just realized I didn't bring the screws out. But anyway, my composter came today. I took advantage of the fucking Prime Day joint. I know a lot of people is boycotting and all that other good shit, but if we had more of a solid network of knowing the manufacturer, then we wouldn't have to use a middleman. Anyway, if you're so concerned about like your community having certain things, then you would make sure that you would have the correct connections in order to sustain yourself, because it makes more sense to self-sustain than to be dependent on anyone else. Hence why I'm going to be building a composter so that I may get to the point where I am more self-sufficient and I have what I need to self-sustain and show other people how to do it themselves, because I don't want control of other people. I want people to control themselves. So it's like, of course I'm gonna hand you all the tools that are necessary in order to help yourself. Do for self is the name of the game. And it's not a game. It's a way of life that we have gotten away from because we've allowed people who don't have our best interests to educate our children. And you are probably the product of this education system. All right? Because, I mean, there's certain things that were lost along the way. Right now, your children, if you have children, if you are someone who's in the system right now, you have summer vacation. Summer vacation was not for a vacation. It was actually to let the children go home while they're being educated to go and attend to the crops that their parents and grandparents were growing. Meaning they had to go to work. It wasn't a vacation. And we need to work towards having everything self-sustainable again. Because, like I said, the backbone of the society was the farm at one point in time. Now we have industrial farms. That is the door. I think it's supposed to start with the door addition. All right. I looked at the diagram. The instructions don't even have a language on them. They're just pictures. So what I'm doing right now, I don't have a good angle. Let me turn this down just a little bit more. Boom. Just a little bit more. Okay, so I had to go and get my screws. Like I said, for Instagram, you're probably gonna go on hiatus because I'm gonna probably just upload this whole thing to YouTube or another platform in order to show the long video. Like I said, the long video is going to, I'm not gonna try to do it live anymore because I lost the whole video last time I was trying to do something. I was talking about CMOS when I did that video, and it was a 41-minute video, and then it just disappeared because I had to get to work, and I didn't realize that it wasn't going to all the way upload, and then I wasn't even going to have it anymore. So 2 seconds, I'm going to have the screws. Probably gonna bring the screwdriver. Where my fag? Right then, I have returned. Hopefully you didn't fall asleep when I was gone. Anyway, so instructions, not really instructions, but it's just a manual. I think it's kind of self-explanatory, I guess. So they even bothered to have words in it. So they said, hey, you figure it out. Which I like. I mean, I'm big into self-sustaining. I think we're supposed to start off with the door. I guess just choose a panel and start there. It looks like they interlock. So the question is, does it go inside or outside? Because that answers the question. So it goes like this, so boom, it goes like that. So I'm supposed to start with the door. So I'm gonna start with the door. Coming out here, so I'm not concerned about anybody stepping on or tripping over anything. I might have a rude interruption, even though I told somebody I'm doing the damn video, but that's okay because that's life. They gave me a screwdriver. I'm gonna use this bad boy instead. So yeah. Let's get it. Looks pretty straightforward, like I said. And this is why I don't like people touching my stuff, because they put things in the wrong damn place. Big contention that I have dealing with stuff. I put stuff the way that I put stuff. Then somebody calls themselves cleaning up, moving stuff. I'm gonna need one of these right now. I'm trying not to spaz out. It's not easy all the time. Especially when you have people doing things that they know they're not supposed to be doing. And they continue to do it repeatedly. I forget what you're saying. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do instead. No clear communication here. No, 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 no. Why would we do that? Anyway. All right, let's get it. Okay, so I'm down and down. Since I don't need to go very fast, I'm gonna put it at the lowest setting that it has, because you don't want to over torque something. This is all plastic. So, this is the door. Doesn't have any indication of like the door is supposed to be a specific area or anything like that. So, just gonna start off with matching the holes. Okay, so 2 holes, and then they slide in. They fit in where they fit in. Boom. Just like that. And then you line up the nuts. Your hands are your biggest tool, your best tool. You start off by hand. You do both by hand at first, and then tighten. All right. Those are in. Simple, simple, simple. So now, next side. Process. I want to start it from the bottom, but I can't. And as I'm doing this, I'm reminded that trying to maintain a certain angle so y'all can see what I'm doing. Right? Alright. Right there. So, next panel. So, these overlap. So maintaining, overlapping, maintain the holes. It's pretty self-explanatory the way this has been machined. So that everything slides in and connects with each other. So the next ones clip on not only to the sides, but also to the panel before it. So I'll start with doing the sides into the panel. One side at a time. Well, this is going to be a long video. I'm gonna cut off the live in a moment, and then I'll return to the live with the finished product after I've completed it. Because this is gonna take a little bit of time, not too long, but I'm pretty sure we don't want us to do such a long video, but my YouTube will have the full video. And so, as I said, on this side, for justice, peace. And I'm staying on right here. Okay. So, up in a half an hour, I have a meeting. Hey, have a bee coming to visit me. Never swing at a bee. They're giving you a compliment. They're saying you smell good. You smell like a flower. You smell like something sweet. It just landed on me. I must smell really good. I'm actually allergic to bees. If I get stung, I will swell up very, very much. Very big. I'm going to turn off this other screen. This is a distractor. And what I'm gonna do is gotta remember to hold on to your nuts sometimes. It'll keep spinning if you don't hold on to the nut. Like, it'll keep spinning and it won't be getting any tighter. I have to maintain this. Okay, just because you're screwing and you have a nut doesn't mean you have a tight ball. So, you have to remember, there are two more internal fixtures. So, also have to have, three more internal. So, oh goodness, I just push back just a little bit. All right, there we go. 1, 2, 3 holes inside. 1, 2, 3. You have to make sure putting those in. Now, it's not just an assembly video. Self-sustainability and what this thing does. So I'm gonna take the scraps that I use, like a fruit that we don't eat the skin to. I also I eat a lot of seafood. Pescatarian at the moment. Like I slip up every now and then, eat a little poultry, but I mainly don't eat meat anymore. Though, and what happens is when I cook a gumbo, I have a lot of shells left, so I'll put the shells into the compost, and that adds nutrients to the compost. Oh, great. Oh, this one, because it's next to like a seam kind of, it's a little bit harder to twist internally. So I'm gonna have to rely on holding the nut and spinning the screw. So since I know that, I'm just gonna do this now. I like to put them in place first and then using this, but it's just a bit. But self-sustainability is using everything that you have, and what you do is there's no such thing as a way. You don't throw anything away. Matter of fact, when you throw things away, it goes to a landfill, and yeah, not that great for the environment. I went to a school, West Roxbury, which is nowhere near Roxbury, okay? But I think that maybe West Roxbury was, correct me if I'm wrong, West Roxbury was named due to white flight from Roxbury when, you know, black people started moving into Roxbury. The pink people there did not want to live around us. They maintained having those properties, though, and you paid rent to those people. You probably still do pay rent to those people to this day, and they count the rent that you're paying to them as somehow you have income, because that's how they count the median income for the greater Boston area, which is not just internal Boston. It's more than just Boston. There's also the places that, you know, the pink people who decide they didn't want to live around you anymore, but they're rent to you. They move to those other places and continue to collect that rent. Meanwhile, you didn't have any ownership. Well, let's keep that real. We did have ownership of Roxbury. A whole lot of it. A lot of black ownership. But urban renewal happened. And what urban renewal was, and they changed the BPDA, was once the BRA. And they got such a bad name that they changed their name. Same people. Same model. Same racism. Different name. Because if it wasn't, gentrification wouldn't still be happening rampant. Gentrification wouldn't be happening right now, to this day. So I was talking about how we did have ownership. We actually have Justice Journeys. I didn't make the name, but I'm glad they named it after me. It was my idea. So I'm going to speak on the fact that let me turn it up one more. That's good. We want to make sure that we get back on subject. We had ownership. Urban renewal happened. This happened all over the country. They one of the biggest examples I just learned about, the St. Louis Arc. That was actually a black neighborhood, and they destroyed that black neighborhood in order to put up an art piece. So all of y'all with that tattooed on you, who are so, you know, big into that art, know that it came with the destruction of a black neighborhood, a thriving black neighborhood, not a just getting by, not a ghetto, a thriving black neighborhood. And just know that. I want you to understand one thing. Poverty is not our natural proclivity. It's not who we are. It's not how we are. It's not our culture. We gave them culture. They stole it from us. And then they told us we had none. But yeah, so in Boston in particular, we had different black neighborhoods where, you know, it was going fine. We were doing great. We had ownership. Then they came and they said, hey, we're going to put a highway through here, right through Roxbury. One of the places that, you know, say where I'm from. I'm from Roxbury. I learned this story because I went to the Inkwell, pejorative, disrespectful term for black people, ink, you know what I'm saying, because they're black. So they called it the Inkwell, and then we took on the name because you ha-ha, nana, and a boo-boo, you didn't hurt my feelings. Now I'm going to use it. Just like cowboy. Cowboy was a derogatory term. Now everybody wants to be a cowboy, don't they? I'll talk about football, and I do have a cousin that used to play for them, but, you know, but, yeah, real deal. I met a woman, Aunt Mary, she probably was in her 70s or 80s at the time, back in the 90s. And she told me about the neighborhood that used to be right there, where now currently Madison and the O'Brien School are now. And they talk about shutting down those. One is a very good trade school, one of the best in the country, but they still want to shut it down because they do not want us to self-maintain. I got stung by a bee. It stung me right in my behind. No, I'm not going to die. It does hurt, but a bee stung me. I react a little bit differently to pain. I'm not a crier. But yes, I sat on a bee. All right, sister. It sucks. That hurts. But that was talk about a painful history, and then I get stung by a bee. Anyway, she told me that there was a thriving black neighborhood right there. Her family owned the house. They basically told the family, get your stuff, get the hell up out of here. You're out of here. And they established their own community in Martha's Vineyard, which is an island. I don't know what the idea was to like maybe try to get away from those people to the point where they can't come and take anything from them anymore. But there was going to be a highway through Roxbury, but people like Mel King and others of his contemporaries, and there's a book written about it called People Before Highways, that said, no, you're not putting you're not putting a highway through our neighborhood. It's not happening. They locked arms and they stopped it. So now, as a concession, they said, hey, listen, we need ways to self-sustain. So they built those schools. They built Madison Park, I think. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Although I don't have it correct, obviously. So they made sure that the future generation would be able to self-sustain, so they wouldn't be dependent on anyone else. Because having a trade and being able to do things with your hands, something that nobody can take from you, is way more important than having a flashy car. And you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just ranting right now. It's more important than things that just look nice. To have something that is self-sustaining. To have something that is able to maintain you. Gardening is one of those things. Back in the day, everybody had a garden. Everybody. Nowadays, a lot of these young ones think that dinner comes in a box or from a restaurant, from a store. They don't realize is those things were grown and produced, and in some cases, because you have some parents who are not very conscientious about what they feed their children, from a factory. And I'm saying, like, we need to stop the factory stuff as far as food goes and get more back into, you know, if you doesn't have a seed in it, and if you can't plant it yourself, you probably shouldn't eat that. Really. I mean, I remember I used to come to the South. I said, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, Roxbury to be particular, to be exact. But I was my great-grandfather's first great-grandchild. So I was flown down to his farm. My grandfather decided he didn't want to be part of the farm. He joined the Navy, and that's how he ended up in Boston, because Boston used to be a big port city back in the day. Not so much nowadays. So we had like a lot of Navy people. He was actually going to join the Marines. Thank goodness the Marine guy was at lunch. So the Navy recruiter spoke to my grandfather. My grandfather ended up in Boston and met my grandmother. And there goes all of my aunties and my father. And that's how they came to be on my father's side. So, in Boston. So, I used to go to the South, and I got to learn some stuff in the South that I would never learn in Boston. And some of those things, agricultural things. I mean, it's like, why don't we have these places in our urban areas to show them how to self-maintain? I'm gonna have to cut this video off because I have a meeting soon. And that meeting is exactly that. I'm sending my people to the farmers markets so that people who are more conscientious about what they eat, you know, they rather eat something straight from the farm. Like, hey, you know you can grow this stuff too. Let me show you how. So I created this program. I think it's called Homegrown Produce right now. Doesn't matter what the name of it is. The aim of it is to show people that they can grow their own, and that is the point of me doing what I'm doing right now. But it's one thing for me to just do it. It's another thing to actually have people who are more experts than I am to teach those things. See, it's a good thing to network. It's a good thing to speak to others who know more than you do. Trust the experts. And then here's the best thing about my people. They're willing to learn also. They're not just those, I'm going to talk down to you and teach you and tell you some stuff. And there's no input. See, because that was the issue that I was having in school as an advanced student. When they knew I was advanced, I would ask questions. And instead of embracing the inquisitiveness, they would take it as a challenge to their authority. Respect my authority. I mean, and I had an actually like racist teacher who called me the N-word and didn't lose her job. With a Jamaican principal in charge. This pink lady called me the N-word with a hard ER, and she was able to maintain her job. Go figure. Anyway, look at the time it is. We need to have our people teaching our people how to do certain things, because let's call it what it is. You have these well-meaning, often liberal people who still have this implicit bias about them. They'll rape your culture and you. They'll act like we were all having a good time doing it. It doesn't matter the politics. I'm just. That's not a dig at liberals or anything like that. Because even asking conservative, what are you conservative? Because it sounds like you just want to maintain. But we gonna maintain a status quo that's, you know, non-equal. You get what I'm saying? I think it's left wing, right wing, same dirty bird will still eat you. are the prey. They are the bird of prey, and there are parts of that bird that's trying to eat you. Neither side is on your side. So, self-sustainability is the name of the game. So, what Aunt Mary told me was that she lived in a certain area that no longer exists. They were going to put a highway through it, but now it's a school, trade school, and they're trying to shut down the trade school. Now, the irony in all this is there is a lot of development going on in Boston. And shout out to Chuck Turner, who wasn't even from Boston, who came to Boston and gave a voice to a lot of Bostonians. And yo, why are the people who live here, who have the skills, not getting the jobs? You're giving people jobs. Peabody's one of the main culprits. Peabody is a long way away from Boston. It's not even connecting or joining. Like, you have to go through places to get to Peabody. But they're one of the main construction. Now you'll get speckled in a few people who they will hire for optics. But the hierarchy remains the same. It was like that before. Shit, black people built the White House. And they still, the very first, hold up, a little trivia. I give you 10 seconds. What was the first film ever shown, a movie, you know, because it moved, the very first movie ever shown in the White House? What was the first movie ever shown in the White House? You got 10 seconds. That was more than 10 seconds. I should give a timer maybe, but I'm gonna say we're gonna wait a couple more seconds until I'm done screwing in these two screws. What was the first movie ever shown at the White House? Nobody knows? Anybody, can you guess the first movie ever shown at the White House? The White House of America, USA America. Oh, I'm getting more bees coming. Please don't sting me. Your sister's over there dead. Where is she? Okay. I'm gonna do this again. First movie ever shown at the White House. I'm not thinking I know it. I'm just trying to give y'all a chance to figure it out. So if you pause this video to go look it up, and you found out, and you came back to this video, how pissed are you right now? Okay, I said one more screw, and then I'm gonna answer this question. Oh, and what the movie's about too. I mean, okay, so the first movie ever shown in the White House that was built by black people was Birth of a Nation. Not the one with Nat Turner, like, you know what I'm saying, with the adaptation of Nat Turner. Birth of a Nation was a propaganda film by the Ku Klux Klan, which, by the way, they actually had a political party, and they still do. And I'm gonna tell you, it's both parties. The Ku Klux Klan had members run for president and win. Yes, you've had Klansmen as presidents of the United States of America. From both parties. Anyway, Birth of a Nation was the first film ever shown in the White House. And it is a depiction of, you know, somebody in blackface running around raping and robbing and acting crazy like a savage. And the Ku Klux Klan were the heroes that came to save the day from the black savage, which was actually a white person in blackface. Excuse me, pink person in blackface. They put shoe polish all over their face, and then they left around the lips like really white to, like, you know, be a caricature of black people, of people of color, melanated people, sun-kissed, blessed by the sun. Okay. Anyway, yes, that was the first film ever shown at the White House, and the politics have not changed. They just prettied up and changed up the language a little bit. So, with that said, the infrastructure hasn't changed. They've just changed the way, like, they just get people out in front of you that look like you to give that same message. So, and I maintain this, and I'm gonna say this. I did a year at Shitty Year, and the brother who started it, he is, I think he is Indian, from India, and his administration upstairs was all literally white when I went there. Okay, they tried to put me out of that place several times. I ended up having to go to youth build, and I already had my high school diploma. Ended up having to go to youth build because they didn't want to get sued, and I never got my scholarship. But yes, I actually nominated a college-educated person who didn't even like me. And I said, but like, it didn't matter because at the end of the day, us not liking each other. I'm sorry. I'm looking at a black butterfly over here. It's beautiful. It's black and blue. I have to stop this just to show y'all. As soon as I get this screw in. I have to get off this anyway. I have a meeting to get to. Huh? There they go. Okay. Anyway, it was lily white in the administration, but they had all these other people of color downstairs. People of color downstairs. And I told them one day, I'm like, you know what? Y'all don't respect or love the culture of anybody else. Y'all want chocolate-covered white people. This is why they kept trying to kick me out, because I voiced these concerns. You want red dot Indian white people. You want Indian, Native American white people. You want mixed race white people. You want white people. I mean, pink people. You want a sanitized version, not sanitized, a dead version of a visage of, like a visualization of, you know, it looks like diversity, but everybody is culturally neutered. Meaning, they look diverse, but they have all the same mindset. I had to get into this meeting. I'll continue this video later. Yeah, spoke justice, self-sustainability. Peace. Self-sustainability.